continue by looking at the metric system. We've already looked at the standard system or the English system. Now let's look at the metric system. Now the metric system is where you have the meter, the liter, the gram. And this is the system where we have all these prefixes. Kilo, hecto, deca, deci, centi, milli. Now, your base right here, that is going to be where your liter, meter, gram is going to go. So I can always put right here your liter, meter, and gram. That's your base. So each one of these basically is a jump of 10. Okay? So going to the left is getting larger. So a kilometer is much larger than a meter. Well, we kind of know that. Going to the right, we get much smaller. A millimeter is much smaller than a meter. Now, we don't usually use dimensional analysis when we're talking about the metric system. You can, but it gets very confusing if you try to use the dimensional analysis within just the metric system. Okay? So, here in the English system, yes, use the dimensional analysis. Okay? In the metric system, because it just changes by units of 10, basically, if you'll notice, it's adding or subtracting zeros each time. Because remember, in the metric system or in our numbering system, we're talking about base 10. And so the metric system is a base of 10. So if you're going to the right on this scale, you move the decimal place right, however many jumps you go. If you go to the left, you move the decimal left. Literally, looking at this chart, you are going to move the decimal in the direction that you move and the number of jumps that you take. Let me give you an example. We want to start out with 35 meters, and we want to go to centimeters. Okay? So if I kind of get rid of all of this underneath here so that I can look at this carefully, I'm starting out here at 35 meters. I'm going to centimeters. So that means I'm going to jump once and I'm going to jump twice. I'm jumping to the right. So that means I'm going to start with 35. The decimal starts out here because I don't have a decimal to start out with. So I'm jumping 1, 2. My decimal now becomes here. If there's not a number there, I fill in with zeros. So this now becomes 3,500 centimeters. This is the exact same thing as using that dimensional analysis of meters. 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeters would give us 3,500 centimeters. You can do it either way. This right here tends to be a little bit confusing, mainly because of the way that it's written. Okay, I actually prefer that it do it a little bit different way, because yes, your base is always 1, but if we consider our base, this is actually going to be our 1 meter is equal to 10 decimeters. It's equal to 100 centimeters, 1,000 millimeters. And then, in other words, this is kind of backwards for me if I'm going to do the dimensional analysis. I know what they're saying because centi means 1/100th of a meter. But if I try to do dimensional analysis, it doesn't really work that way. So again, if I just look at how many places I jump, and I move the decimal place that direction, that works. So if I look at millimeter to meters, here's my millimeters, and I'm going to meters. I jump 1, 2, 3 jumps to the left. My decimal starts out here. 1, 2, 3 jumps. That would be a 0.359. Now it may be difficult to see written there. Remember that a whole number always has a decimal behind it. And then I jump 1, 2, 3 jumps, so my decimal becomes in front of the 3. We have 647 millimeters. So then I'm going from millimeters to centimeters. I'm jumping 1 to the left. So that would be 64.7 centimeters. And then we have 0.1 centimeters. And we're going to millimeters. So that means I'm going to the right. So I go to the right. And that would look like 0.1 with a decimal here. So the leading 0 now doesn't mean anything. So that would just mean 1 millimeter. Now, if I were to look at another example, let's say that I have .74 kilometers, and I want to go to centimeters. Well, that means I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 jumps. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 jumps. So notice I've got 1, 2, 3 empty spaces. So that's going to be 1, 7, 4, and 3 zeros, centimeters. And my decimal place would be back here. I do not put my decimal place still for that behind that 1. It now goes back behind. So try some more of the converting with the metric system. Use this chart. This chart is extremely handy. Okay? Let me know if you have any questions.